Low energy, very low energy to start this Tuesday show. Welcome into the Rant. I'm Pugs Moran. We do this show every day, Monday through Friday, here from the beautiful Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the E Gallery, located in Dallas's fantastic design district. We are RadioMisfits.com. We are the Radio Misfits Dallas extension of RadioMisfits.com. Hold on, I got to get a drink out of my big, giant, homemade Big Gulp. Yeah, this is a Big Gulp cup that I bought yesterday. It originally contained Big Red. I love Big Red out of the spigot. Out of the spigot at 7-Eleven. I've never had it anywhere else. I got to be honest, I've never had Big Red until just a couple of months ago. And now I'm like, this is the best cream soda. Why is this like considered garbage cream soda? Is it considered garbage cream soda? I guess if you don't like cream soda, they're all considered garbage cream soda. But I'm a man who bucks tradition when it comes to things that I like. For instance, I'm a big advocate for candy corn. Love them. You don't want your candy corn? That's fine. Black Chuckles. Yeah, remember Chuckles? Nobody wanted the black. I could always trade for the black. You know what I would trade? I would trade that weird flesh-colored one. What is that? What is that weird flesh-colored? I don't want to eat that. That's fucked up. Give me the black one. That's licorice. Candy corn, black licorice. What else do I like? What else do I like that people just are repulsed by? Cream soda. Cream soda is another thing that I really like. I used to think that Sprecher cream soda was the absolute best, and maybe it is, but it's hard to find. Big Red, as far as an everyday cream soda, I'll tell you what, it blows the doors off that bullshit Canfield cream soda that I grew up with. Sure does. Big Red, I like it. Anyway, this cup used to contain Big Red, and now I'm just using it to fill with my own Diet Coke. Well, it's Kroger, Dr. K Zero. I don't know what that is. It's like Coke Zero. I haven't been feeling really well. My voice I'm talking this way because my voice is a little bit sore. Yeah, it's like a sore throat. It's not allergies or anything. It's just like, oh my God, my voice has been scratchy for 3 days. So I don't know, maybe it's the weather. The weather has drastically changed around here. Let's say hi to our friends in the chat room on this Tuesday. Jeff's here. Hi, Jeff. Bill's here. Peter's here. Leslie's, Taranda's here. Okay, who else do we have? Let me see. Go all the way. Who was first in today? Go all the way back to the beginning. I guess that's Peter. Peter first in today as far as I can see. All right, what do we do on this show? We give you all the day's hot topics, current events, trends, whatever it is that's happening in the world. It funnels itself through me, filters, I suppose. And I just tell you what a big dumb guy who, isn't nearly as smart as most of the experts on these subjects, but it's just what a big dumb guy like me kind of thinks of the world as it happens in front of him on a day-to-day basis. We've been doing it for 3 years. Right around this time, we're coming right up. I don't even know what the official day is because I don't care and I'm not into those kinds of things. But it's got to be right around this time of year, I think. The 3-year anniversary. The show does itself. Excuse me. It unfolds in 4 quarters. We call them segments, if you will. The first one we call that antecedently on this day. What's that? It's this day in history. Did you think it was going to be something else? It's just antecedently on this day. Quarter 2 is birthdays. You know what that is. Are they cool or do they suck? We talk about people born on this day. Then we go to deaths. People who died on this day. We got a good death list today. A very good one. It's a good one. A lot of times I struggle. Sometimes it's just like 1 or 2 people. Today, a lot of good dead people. Don't know if they're all going to heaven because that's what we do. We decide whether or not people who died on this day, let's be honest, whether I think they should go to heaven or not. Heaven or hell. That's where we put them. That's quarter 3. Quarter 4 is all the hot topics, current events, trends, pop culture, whatever it is. Honestly, after the first 5 or 6, it's just shit that I want to talk about. So let's be honest about what this is. It's the Rant, and we do it every day at noon. Let's see here. Did you guys all have a good weekend? Just hear that? I dropped something. I have no idea what it was. All right, we're going to move forward. Happy Labor Day weekend. As I said, I started to not feel real good on Saturday, and so I pretty much just hung out. I watched some stuff, you guys. First of all, I'm going to tell you real quick. This is what we call the small talk segment. Small talk before business. Hi, Cam. Before business. So this weekend, I don't know how this happened. I was thinking about shows that I need to rewatch, shows that I only watched once. Then people read the same book over and over again. Quite frankly, I watch series from like 10 years ago and I forget them, and they're good, and I'm like, oh, that was really good. So I watch it again, and guess what? I enjoy it a second time. So I was thinking about shows like that, and I remembered that I really liked HBO's Watchmen, the Watchmen series. It only ran for one season. It wasn't because it wasn't a hit. It won like every award under the sun. It only ran for one season because the dude who created it doesn't want to do anymore. And it's like, ugh. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go check out The Watchmen. Regina King is in it. Don Johnson, although not a really big part. But anyway, it's Regina King's vehicle. So I watched The Watchmen. I watched the whole series over the weekend while I was stayed in bed. So good. But about 3 episodes in, I went, I need the backstory on this. They're making way too many references. I'm not a comic book dork, so I don't really know the backstory. So then I went, I got the Wikipedia page open for the TV series, and I'm like, it's based on a movie from 2009, a Zack Snyder movie. And I'm like, I like him. So I went and watched it, and it was good. The movie Watchmen was good. And then I jumped back in to the rest of the first season, which I think is only 8 episodes. But that's what I did. It was good. What else did I do? Let me see. What else do I got here? Hold on. I'm just going through my list of stuff. I wanted to mention this. This is a weird small talk. This is perfect for small talk. And when it happened to me, I went, this is going to be today's small talk. But now look at me. I just spent 5 minutes talking about The Watchmen. That was a mistake. So I'm coming down here, right? And we do the show from the Design District, and I'm coming from the Park Cities area. So what I like to do is I like to get on 75. There's an entrance right there where I am in the Park Cities. It's not hard to get to. Jump on 75, do a little loop around. Pearl Street, typically, I think, is where I'll jump off, or maybe it's Field. I don't know, one of those. I'll jump off, and then I'll just kind of zigzag my way into the Design District. It's a wonderful way to commute to work. Wonderful. You get to see things and you see people. And I told you about the banana bread guy at the gas station that I stop at. That's a story from a couple of weeks ago. Dude tried to sell me 2 loaves of banana bread for $20, and I don't care how much I bought into your sob story. It's not $20 for 2 banana bread loaves. That's not a thing. So I ran into that guy. But now I met a new guy. There's this new guy at the underpass. I don't know what it is. It's like a spaghetti underpass. There's like 50 different highways that intersect above us. And we're on the lower end. I don't even know what street this is. I'm still learning my areas down here. I'll get more details for you. Anyway, I pull at the stoplight. And I'm underneath, the expressways. So all that stuff's going on above me. And I'm underneath it at the stoplight. And there's one homeless dude with a sign. This isn't rare. There's always homeless dudes out there. And this is why they make their money. I happen to sit down and talk bullshit. But, there is no difference between me and those guys out there panhandling. So, okay. This guy's got a sign, and I'm the only car at the stoplight. I'm just sitting here, and I'm looking at him. He's looking at me, and he's got a sign. And on this sign, it says, homeschool your kids. And I'm like, okay. Right, I give him a nod. And then when he sees that I nod, then he flips the sign over, and the sign says, because public schools are turning them into trans. Now, this guy doesn't look like he's all that politically involved. He looks like he's king of the homeless people. That's what he looks like. He's, disheveled. I'd say he's a black man in his 40s, heavy, not missing a meal, whatever's working out for him. He's not missing a meal. He's heavy set. But okay, so let me bring you back to the sign. So the sign says homeschooled. And I'm sitting at the light waiting for it to change, and we're making eye contact. Because I like to treat these people like humans, unlike some of you who are just like, don't look at them and maybe they won't exist. No, you look at them. You're looking at me. I'll give you the man-to-man respect. All right, so he's holding a sign that says homeschool. And I'm like, okay. And then he flips it and it says, because public schools are turning your kids trans. And I immediately went, nah. And then you know what he did? This is because to this point, I'm wondering, I'm like, nah, dude, you lost me, right? I'm not the audience for this. But up until that point, I had been wondering, I'm like, okay, is he just really crazy? Like, is this really an issue that he believes in? But as soon as I went, nope, and kind of smiled, he laughed and shrugged his shoulders. I was like, you're working an angle. He's playing the percentages. He figures that a lot of people coming out of Dallas, stopping there, going into the design district to spend thousands of dollars on stupid shit like Persian rugs. He's playing the percentages that some of these people might be Fox News people or far right wing, and they might believe this stuff. So I'm going to placate them, and I'm going to pretend that I'm on their side and that I'm spreading the word, and maybe that'll turn into some money. Well, he had the wrong audience in me. I don't believe any of that nonsense. I don't even believe in public schools, Fox News, or trans people. None of it is real. It's all just a part of the matrix. Anyway, I thought that interaction with this guy where I said, nope, sorry, as soon as he revealed what the sign was, nope. No, man, come on, that's not me. I know who you're going for. And then his smile is what made me wanted to give him some money. Like when he smiled and he shrugged his shoulders, I was like, okay. He knows in that moment. And I'm like, I like your hustle, dude. I like your hustle. Anyway, that's what happened to me. So I didn't give him any money. I don't have any money. It's the start of Pledge Week. You know what Pledge Weeks are around here? Pledge Weeks are where we try to raise as much money as we can during the course of 1 week so that we can keep this show on the air for the next month. Previous Pledge Weeks, they've all worked out for 3 years. And I do think we got something special here in this Pledge Week because, folks, I don't know how this happened. Well, I mean, I do know how it happened because I took a little side gig, but the amount that we need this month is nothing compared to what we've needed in other months. We're at 200. We need 200 to make weight this month. That's it. Usually we come in here and it's like 350 or, sometimes double that. No. So that's all we're trying to do. We're trying to raise that much money between now and end of show Friday. So if you can help out, that would be absolutely fantastic. Thank you. How do you do that? You might be asking. Well, here's what you do. You go here. This is how we do it. You go to either the Cash App or the Venmo. And again, the number this month, and I'll have the full numbers and be thanking you folks like we do. However, we do have an executive producer that needs to be shouted out. Boom, there you go. Leslie C. She's already here. Thank you, Leslie. Leslie C. She was the big tipper over the weekend. That is so nice. That is, you guys have no idea how that, because like I kind of live and die by the show itself. Like at the end of the show, if there's no tips, I'm like, okay, well, it was a slow night at the bar, right? That you got to think of it like a bartender. I'm like, okay, that's okay. We'll still do. We'll get up and we'll do it again tomorrow. So during the week is when you expect it. But when you like look at your things on like, I always look on Sundays. When you look at your things on Sundays and you're like, oh my God, somebody tipped today. They were thinking about me today. They were thinking about the show today on a Sunday. So thank you so much, Leslie. I appreciate that. Again, the number is 200 and we'll have more, we'll put that. I hate doing this, but here we are. Okay, let's get started. It is, thank you to Leslie C. And there you go. If you're so compelled. I said earlier in the month that we were in trouble this month. And then I was able to get, and it was for good reason. It was for, a reason I'm totally comfortable with. We basically spent a couple of weeks where we were just directing people if they felt so that they wanted to, to help out with my partner, Kelly Moore, who passed away. And we had her GoFundMe up, and you can still go and find that GoFundMe in loving memory of Kelly Moore, or you can just go to pugsandkellyshow.com if you want to help them. So anyway, I had said that we were probably looking at being in trouble this month. And then, I don't know, maybe it's just the way the fates align. But I was able to pick up a little side work that doesn't need to be mentioned and all that. So we're okay. So this month we're only at 200. That's all we need to keep this show going for next month, to raise $200 this month. That's nothing. All right. Thank you, folks. And thank you so much to today's executive producer, the lovely Leslie C. Leslie C. She's one of them 15, 10 maybe. She's definitely in the top 10. But like there's about 15 of you. There's about 15 of you that I don't know how to thank you enough. All right. There you go. And we'll leave that up. Okay. Should we get into the show? Should we just get started? Let's get started. All right. It is, hold on. Where do we do? Did I lose my place again? It is the rant for the 3rd day of September, year of our Lord, 2024. Please bear with me. My throat is a little bit sore today, so it's going to sound weird. September 3rd, this very day, is the 247th day of the year. That means 119 left until New Year's Day. So get those New Year's Eve plans started. Let's do quarter one. Quarter one we like to call antecedently on this day. It's a look back on history. It's another way of saying previously on September the 3rd. Previously on September the 3rd, or antecedently on this day, in the year 1777. This is during the American Revolutionary War. Let's see, the Battle of Cooch's Bridge. Or no, it's not Cooch's. It's Cooch's. Cooch's, plural. Cooch, it's possessive. Cooch's. So it's Cooch's Bridge. The Battle of Cooch's Bridge. The flag of these here United States is flown in battle for the very first time. It's the first time we came out with our colors. First time we came out wearing a uniform with our colors on it. Pretty cool. Antecedently on this day in 1777. Antecedently on this day in 1895, John Brayler becomes the first openly paid professional American football player. John Brayler. On this day in 1895, he got paid to play in a football game, and they were like, you can do that? Oh, my goodness, look where we are now. He made $10. $10 in 1895. That's a lot of money. All right, now we got to do that thing, right? We got to do that converter. What was $10 in 1885? Hold on. 10 in 1885. Okay, so this is what he got paid. $10 in 18. Oh, okay, he got paid $324.27 to play in one game. He probably took all the boys to the bar after that. John Brayler, who did he play for? He played for the Latrobe Athletic Association. This was, and they won. They won too. So they paid him and they won 12-0 over the Jeanette Athletic Association. That was antecedently on this day in 1885. Antecedently on this day in, 1939. 1895 was the football thing. 1939, World War II. France, the United Kingdom, New Zealand, and Australia declare war on Germany on this day. This after the invasion of Poland. So if you think about it this way, this is the day World War II actually started. Because until this point, it was just Hitler doing shit that people were like, don't do that. Don't do that. And then he did that. And it was on this day that the United Kingdom, so it's really not a big... like all of the countries that were kind of on the verge of being overtaken by him, like Czechoslovakia and Amsterdam and all that stuff, they don't seem to be listed here as the countries that were like, yeah, we're going to war. It was all the ones that had a little bit of separation. Although there was a mutual border between France and Germany, but that's the Alsace-Lorraine region for those World War II fans. Anyway, it was on this day, 1939. France, the United Kingdom, New Zealand, and Australia declare war on Germany. Boy, really, just put yourself out there, New Zealand and Australia. You guys are in zero trouble. You guys are way down. Although they had the Japanese to contend with. They were probably more concerned about the Japanese threat, but whatever, they came on board. On this day, World War II begins when the UK, France, New Zealand, and Australia. Notice it wasn't Austria. I think they were already overtaken by the Nazi war machine. Antecedently on this day, in 1967, Dagen H. Dagen H. That's what today is known as. In where? In Sweden. And I had to check Sweden because, I've admitted this before. I get Sweden and Switzerland confused. Like for $1 million on a map, I would get them wrong. I would be like, actually, I wouldn't know where to put Sweden, but I would put Switzerland where Sweden is. And then I would probably just take what is actually Sweden and cram that up into Norway or something. I don't know why I confuse Switzerland with Sweden, but on this day in Sweden, Dagen H is what this day is known for. 1967. This is the day. Oh God, could you imagine if we tried to do this now? Oh my God. This is the day in Sweden where they went, hey, remember last night when you were driving your car on the left side of the road? Okay, today we're all doing it on the right. Sweden on this day switched over from being a country that drives on the left like England to being a country that drives on the right like us. And it went kind of smoothly. Why? Because them some serious people. The Swedes, they're serious people. They don't fuck around. They're not a bunch of dumb hillbillies over there. They're watchmakers and shit like that. They're very serious people, and they can handle something like this. United States could not. Could you imagine if just tomorrow, first of all, we'd all be like, it's against my liberty that I have to now get my steering column placed on the... That's cars were built to be driven on the left side. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, what, I got to get a new car? And they were like, no. They were like, no, you don't have to get a new car, but here's what you need to do. You need to learn how to drive that thing backwards, basically. You need to learn how to drive it. Like, we still see that today. Like, sometimes on the road, you'll see some dude driving a British car that's been American legalized, and he's on the wrong side. Hell, postmen do it. Postmen can do it. Anyway, Dag and H is what this day is called. Incidentally, here's a fun fact that I always like to share. Do you know why in England they drive on the left, and why England sort of influenced all the colonies of England and all that? They all drive on the left. Do you know why they drive on the left and not on the right like we do here? Because it goes back to Roman times and, the conquering of England and all that, and Roman roads being the first roads that were used and were still used in some way, shape, or form to this day, because they were the most effective ways between point A and point B. So these old Roman roads back in those days, you galloped, I guess, on your left and not on your right. And the reason for this is that if you were galloping on your left like this and someone was coming towards you on your right and you needed to fight them, you could draw your sword and you can fight them this way. Most people were right-handed. That is why they drive on the left. It's just an old holdover from the Roman days when those roads were first created. Dag and H in Sweden, they switched over from driving on the left to driving on the right here. I had to drive on the opposite side when we were in Ireland. It was not easy. Driving a car that's totally different. I got a stick because I was showing off. I got a little sports car. I was thinking, I'm going to rent a little sports car. And it was a little stick. And I didn't know that European stick is different than American stick. Like, for instance, did you guys know that in Europe, when you're driving a stick shift, reverse is not the same as it is here? Like, here in reverse, it's up, back, and to the left, right? Or to the right. Wait, I don't know. I haven't driven stick in a while. Point is this. In England, or at least in the car that I had rented in Ireland, I pulled up for gas at a gas station, and I pulled up, took the car, got it, rented, airport. We're like, yeah, look at us driving in Ireland. And I'm driving. I'm like, this is a gas station. Let's go to the gas station. Driving on the wrong side. I'm killing it, though. I know what I'm doing. Pull into the pump, and I pulled up a little bit too far. And I'm like, oh, okay, these pumps aren't as long as the ones in America, so I've got to back this thing up. So I get in the car, and I sit down, and I'm like, okay. I did not know how. I did not know how to back it up. Some dude who was getting gas, he had to show me. I go, hey, man. I go, can you help me? Like, I was so humiliated, man to man. But he was so nice because the people there were really nice. Oh, I'll show you. All right, that was on this day in 1967. Sweden switched from the left to the right side of the road. Antecedently, on this day in 1981, the Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, which was an international Bill of Rights for women, passed by the United Nations. On this day, we fixed the woman problem. On this day in 1981, and that's why we've had nothing but female presidents since then, and why the world has sunken into a unknown peace. On this day, antecedently in the year 2016, the United States and China together, who are responsible for 40% of the world's carbon emissions, both formally ratify the Paris Global Climate Agreement. It's a lot of you are like, that's bad. I heard that's bad. I don't know what it is, but I hear it's bad. We're against that, right? That's bad? Yeah, it is if you're an oil company executive. All right, let's do quarter two. Quarter two is birthdays. Birthdays. They say it's your birthday. All right, birthdays. These are people who were born on this day. We decide, are they cool or not? Born on this day in 1929, Whitey Bulger. He's cool. I like Whitey Bulger. He's a crazy Irish gangster from South Boston. He was on the lam for like 30 years. And then, like, how long did he die? He died in 20. So I don't know. What was he, like 10 years ago, maybe? 10 years ago, they finally found him after like the Departed. Have you ever seen The Departed? Jack Nicholson. He's playing Whitey Bulger. No, he's not, Pugs. He's playing yeah, I know, but that's because the real Whitey Bulger was actually still out there, and they didn't really name names in The Departed, but it was that story. It was the story of Whitey Bulger. Born on this day in 1929. Born on this day in 1931. Here's another one. Weird. We are off to a weird, creepy start here. We've got a noted American mafioso leader, Whitey Bulger, born on this day in 1929. And now we've got 1931, one of the absolute, not the first, but man, he was an early, serial killers and that kind of thing. They were around, but Albert DeSalvo was really one of the first ones to really break through. First one to get a movie about him, I think. The Boston Strangler, Albert DeSalvo. Happy birthday. Born on this day in 1931. Born on this day in 1957, Steve Schirripa. Is that how you pronounce it? Schirripa. I'm going to go with Steve Schirripa. You know who he was? Sopranos fans? Bobby Bacaliari. That's right, Bobby Bacala. Bobby Bacaliari. Bobby, he was awesome. He was so cool. Born on this day, 1957. Spoiler alert. Bobby died doing what he loved. Right? Bobby died playing with his trains, didn't he? Isn't that how Bobby died? I want to say Bobby died playing with his trains in that big dumb train hat. He was a big scary mafioso guy with a big giant heart of gold. He was actually really nice and soft. Like of all the mafia guys in The Sopranos, Bobby Bacaliari was the nicest one. And he had a giant Lionel train set up in his garage. And I think, or maybe it was his basement. Maybe it was both. Anyway, he wore a big dumb hat. And the other mobsters would come over and they'd be like, what are you wearing that stupid hat for? Hey, it's the way I relieve stress. Anyway, Bobby Bacaliari, he was great. Steve Schirripa is the actor who played him. Born on this day in 1957. Born on this day in 1964. Adam Curry, MTV VJ. Not an original. I know. You think he was one of the first new ones. There were original MTV VJs. We can go through them. Alan Hunter, who I think is the person that a lot of people confuse with Adam Curry. You got Adam Hunter. You had Nina Blackwood. You had can't think of her name. Martha Quinn. That's it. You had J.J. Jackson. You had Mark Goodman. And I think that's it. I think that's the original MTV VJs. Adam Curry came on 1987, 1988. They'd been around for a couple of years, but he was the first new one. Anyway, Adam Curry, born on this day in 1964. That's it. I'm out. I've completely exhausted everything that I have to say about Adam Curry. Born on this day in 1965. Happy birthday, Vaden Todd Lewis of your Toadies. He's such a cool guy. In addition to the fact that he's just got this really natural sort of rock star vibe about him and energy. He's quiet dude. Even when he's just being quiet and hanging and chill, and all that, he's just got this simmering kind of artist kind of, I don't know. Big fan. He's a good guy. Born on this day in 1965, Vaden Todd Lewis of your Toadies. Born on this day in 1965, how about Charlie Sheen? Look at that. Umbilical cousins. Charlie Sheen and Vaden Todd Lewis. Charlie Sheen, do we hear from him anymore? What was the last time? What does he do? Does he come out in public? He had a bad... Man, there was a period of time, should we say about 12 years ago? 13 years ago, maybe? There was a period of time when Charlie Sheen was just... I'm shocked that he's still alive. If you had asked me back then, will Charlie Sheen be alive in 2024? I'd have probably said, I don't think he'll be alive by the end of the week. Remember the whole Tiger Blood thing where he was spinning out of control? How's he doing? What's we hear from him? Is it probably best that we're not hearing from Charlie Sheen? I don't know. Anyway, born on this day, Charlie Sheen. He didn't have the Robert Downey Jr. thing. Robert Downey Jr. was every bit as socially unacceptable as Charlie Sheen was in a period of time. So was Sean Penn. Sean Penn was too, but Sean Penn's a different story. Robert Downey Jr. went from being absolutely blackballed and dead in Hollywood as far as being a marketable star to being the biggest star in the world again. Robert Downey Jr. did that. Biggest comeback in Hollywood history. Not even close. Robert Downey Jr. left for dead. I still have hopes for Lindsay Lohan. I really do. I think Lindsay Lohan's going to win an Oscar in 10 years. And people are going to be like, she's the new Jessica Lange or whatever. Because Lindsay Lohan's got talent. She's just a fuck up. She's just also someone who really likes drugs and partying. Charlie Sheen, I don't know he's had that. Charlie Sheen, I think maybe 3 Men and a Baby or whatever that show was. What's the show that he did? 3 Men. I never watched it. 3 Men. whatever that show was. I think that was his comeback. And then he got really big on that again. And then he spun out one more time. And that's pretty much all she wrote. Charlie Sheen, born on this day in 1965. Born on this day in 1986, Shaun White, American snowboarder, skateboarder, and guitarist. I just call him Icy Carrot Top. He's Winter Carrot Top. He's Carrot Top in a parka. That's who Shaun White is. Sorry, not really all that familiar with that dude. Born on this day in 2001, Kaya Gerber. Kaya Gerber. You guys know who Kaya Gerber is? Kaya Gerber works a lot with Ryan Murphy. Ryan Murphy loves doing this. He loves Nepo babies. Hold on, they're doing a little bit of work here. I was warned that some new things were going to be drilled into walls here during our show. So if you hear that, let's try not to be distracted by it. I'm going to try not to be distracted by it. Kaya Gerber is a Nepo baby. Kaya Gerger. Why can't I do it now? Why can't I do it? Kaya Gerber. Gerber baby food. That's what it is. It's Gerber baby food. Now I can't even say that. Kaya Gerber does some Ryan Murphy stuff. Like I saw her in one of those American Horror Stories and she was in something else. Here's all you need to know. This is who Kaya Gerber is. She is, of course, the daughter of Randy Gerber, who is a restaurateur in Hollywood. And her mom is someone named Cindy Crawford. There you go. Now, the reason I pulled this picture up is because I want to show you this. She looks so much like, if you're Gen X like me, Cindy Crawford is beautiful. Like I'm not going to go, she's the most beautiful woman. She was pretty. She was different. Her beauty was different than the kind of beauty that we saw in Pam Anderson or the kind of beauty that we saw in, I don't know, porn or Playboy. There was like an unattainable, like Cindy Crawford's beauty was unattainable. You know, like, yeah, I can't get near that. No matter how much money, it was just, she was in a different category. There she is with her daughter. Her daughter looks exactly like her. Look at these two. That's Kaya Gerber, birthday girl right there on the left. That's Cindy Crawford on the right. Look at that. How crazy is that? How crazy. I'll tell you this, though. If I'm being completely honest, mom's prettier. That's right. I know it's, I know. It's like pizza or tacos. They're both good, but if one's got to go, one's got to go. And quite frankly, I think Cindy Crawford's prettier. Kaya Gerber, born on this day in 2001. Okay, that's going to do the birthdays. The birthdays are over. Now we're going to move into the deads, quarter 3. These are the people who died on this day. I told you we had a really big one here. We're going to send a lot of people either to heaven or to hell. We're going to start out dead on this day in 1970. Ladies and gentlemen, Vince Lombardi. Vince Lombardi. They named the World Super Bowl trophy is the Vince Lombardi trophy. And it's only named that because he died. That's all. He died. He just died. The timing was good. Packer fans always like to point out, the trophy for the NFC is named after George Halas, but the trophy for the entire league is named after our guy. Yeah, because he died. Because he died in 1970. When they were like, what is the Super Bowl thing? That's all. It was timing. Was he a good coach? Yeah. Was it Vince Lombardi? It wasn't Vince Lombardi's tree. Who's coaching tree? You guys know what coaching trees are? Coaching trees are a big thing that sports nerds talk about because all coaches begin on the staffs of other coaches. So when one head coach has like a defensive coordinator who then goes off to be a coach of his own and then he starts winning Super Bowl, you start looking at where they came from. There was this like absurd, is it Weeb Eubank? Is it somebody, there was a coach, I think it was the New York Giants. It was definitely the New York Giants. The New York Giants had a coaching staff, and I think it was Weeb Eubanks. I might be wrong, but I think that's who it was. The New York Giants had a coaching staff that had Tom Landry, Vince Lombardi, and Don Shula on it. I mean, come on. It's crazy. There's also a really cool, more modern example of that. And I think it's when Nick Saban for 1 year took over with the Washington Redskins. If you remember that from about 15 years ago, if you look at his coaching staff back then, it's insane. It's like nothing but college coaches. It's like, or not college. It's nothing but like championship level coaches. His entire staff, like even his like assistant quarterbacks guy was like Mike McDaniel, head coach of. It's crazy. Anyway, sometimes that happens and it's fun. Vince Lombardi died on this day in 1970, and he's going to fucking hell because he's a Packer. And I'm a Bear fan. Dead on this day in 1991, preemptively, we're putting this dude into heaven. Frank Capra. Frank Capra's going to heaven. Come on now. Frank Capra, incredible American filmmaker. It's a Wonderful Life. George Bailey. He did some other shit, but who cares? Frank Capra did It's a Wonderful Life, and he's going to heaven for that. Oh, that movie sucks. Fuck you. I'm sorry your family was all killed in a car wreck and during Christmas when you were 10. Who fucking thinks that movie sucks? You can be like me, who I used to always sit around and make fun of it. But here's the thing about that movie. That's a movie that you saw, that you watched, that you, at some point in your life, you watched that movie with people who are no longer here. You watch that movie with people who you miss. And now you have the gall to think about that movie in anything but other than the most spectacular of terms. You're a piece of garbage. Everybody loves It's a Wonderful Life, even those of us who don't love it. Like, I've got some problems. There are plot holes, but It's a Wonderful Life. It's a magical film. Fun story about It's a Wonderful Life. Do you know that it was basically a bomb until like the 1960s and 70s? Mm-hmm. It's a Wonderful Life, when it came out in movies, it got bad reviews and it wasn't a big box office hit. It was kind of considered a bomb. I think the problem with it was that it was released in July. It's a Wonderful Life was released in July, and it was a Christmas movie, and nobody went to see it, and it was awful. So how did it become this inarguable American classic? Well, in the 1970s, when television and syndicated television was coming, a whole bunch of like garbage movies that were not really marketable were made available to television stations. And that's where you had the late night movie and all of these, that's how It's a Wonderful Life became something that, we all saw, because local television operators would show that at Christmas time. And families would see it and then it became a tradition by the late 70s. I think the tradition was Christmas Eve. It was on Christmas Eve, so you'd watch it on Christmas Eve. There was a number of these movies, yearly movies that were shown once a year on television. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was one. I remember that. That was always in the summer. They showed Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Then once a year, we all got to see Wizard of Oz. Remember that? That was a big one. Sound of Music was another one that I never watched. Fuck that. What? Just people singing on a mountainside? I'm not interested. 10 Commandments. That was always on Easter Sunday. 10 Commandments would come on. And It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life. So Frank Capra is going to heaven. He made a movie that people didn't like in the moment, but now we all, come on, inarguably, some good memories, even if you don't like the movie. And I love the movie, but I think that there are some plot holes. Dead on this day in 1991, Frank Capra. 1991. It's weird that he lived that long. Like, I think of Frank Capra as being someone who died. He died in a plane crash in World War I or World War II. He doesn't seem like he made it all the way to the 90s. Apparently he did. Dead on this day in 2007. Here's a terrible local memory for those of us here. Carter Albrecht died on this day in 2007. People in the music scene here might remember him. He was a terrific musician. He was in, at the time of his death, he was in the band Sorta, which was such a great band. So Danny Bayless was in the band Sorta from, I don't know what Danny Bayless is from now, but he's from everything. He was in that band. And if you remember, I remember following this story very closely when it happened. And if memory serves, he had gone out drinking, Carter Albrecht of Sorta. He had gone out drinking and gotten really drunk, and his friend dropped him off at his girlfriend's house. And apparently he had gotten into a argument with his girlfriend, and she kicked him out. So he was like wandering out in front of the house, very drunk. And apparently he went to the neighbor's house and started banging on the door of the neighbor. And the neighbor was like, "Who are you?" And he was drunk and he was banging, and the neighbor shot him and he died. And I remember it being because Carter was very tall and thin. He was like 6'10". I mean, not that big, probably like 6'5", something like that. But he was big. He was a big, tall dude. And I remember them saying that the homeowner did not intend to shoot him. He was trying to fire a warning shot through the door, but he was so tall that it hit him right there in the head. Now, that's the events as we were first told. Not that there's anything that really changes those events, because that's kind of how I understand it to be as well. But I remember, do you remember the drug Chantix, which people were using to stop quitting? I mean, there being a situation with Chantix here, where Chantix at this time were causing people to, when mixed with alcohol or whatever, and I remember thinking that was, or people were saying that's what they believe happened here. I don't remember how that turned out, but it was such an out of character thing for this guy who was very well known here in the local, Dallas music and Texas music. I mean, in music in general, he was a well-known guy. He was in Edie Brickell and the New Bohemians. So, I mean, he was a known guy, and this was so not his behavior. And I don't know, just real sad. Anyway, we're going to put him in heaven because he was a really wonderful guy. Like, a lot of people, it's hard to say that. I mean, people die all the time. He was a musician. He was just like a really chill, good-looking, tall, Sort of was a great band too. They were really good. I didn't know Danny back then, but they were really terrific. All right, let's see here. Carter Albrecht died on this day in 2007. We're going to put him in heaven. Here's another one. Michael Clark Duncan died on this day in 2012. Remember Michael Clark Duncan from the Green Mile? From wasn't he also in Asteroid or Meteor? I don't know, whatever. Michael Clark Duncan. I knew Michael Clark Duncan different. Michael Clark Duncan, before he was a movie star, he was a very high-profile doorman in Chicago. Now, Chicago has a very long history of high-profile doormen. guys who work the doors, who are a little bit flamboyant. Famously, Mr. T, of course, was discovered as a doorman in a Chicago bar, Mr. T. Michael Clark Duncan as well. Michael Clark Duncan was the doorman at, I don't know if it was Limelight or if it was Excalibur or both, but it was one of the big central hoity-toity Chicago clubs of the 1980s. Letting Michael Jordan in and shit like that. And Michael Clark Duncan, I remember seeing him because we would go to these clubs, and he was an oddity. He was an oddity in so much as when you were a kid from the suburbs, you're 21 trying to get into one of the coolest clubs, and you're waiting in line, and you're looking at this gigantic, glorious black man with the shaved head, wearing this long, this is before the Matrix, wearing a long flowing leather jacket that was just hiding his massive frame. Michael Clark Duncan was cool as fuck, man. Used to see him, the big black dude working. That dude's scary. Anyway, that's where he got discovered. And dragged out to Hollywood. And just like Mr. T went on to have an acting career. Although Michael Clark Duncan, he got an Academy Award nomination. He was nominated for Green Mile. Turns out that dude could kind of act. Jury's still out on Mr. T. Michael Clark Duncan, dead on this day in 2012. And we're putting him in heaven. Heaven for Michael Clark Duncan. Died of a heart attack, dropped dead of a heart. Oh, you know what? We should also, tell the full story on Michael Clark Duncan. So Michael Clark Duncan, at the time of his death, was dating Omarosa Manigault. Omarosa from like The Apprentice and all that shit. And she tried to claim after he died that they were engaged to be married, like that she was his fiance, and that she changed some documents. Like she tried to get like his money. It was just such a weird, sketchy, very Omarosa-y kind of thing to do. But anyway, that's it. Dead on this day in 2017. Now, here's another one. We're putting this guy in heaven. This guy is awesome. And it's one of those deals where, I know he died because I remember when he died. But maybe I don't. Maybe he's not really dead to me. So like when I'm reminded of this, I'm just like, fuck, man. Jesus. Dead on this day in the year 2017, Walter Becker of Steely Dan. That's right, Walter Becker. One half of Donald Fagen and Walter Becker. Steely Dan is just there's, what I'm very proud of? My 15-year-old son, who I've given this very serious sort of pop culture, American education, things that he needs to know, movies he needs to see, movies that maybe your average 10-year-old doesn't see. Right. We're sitting down, we're watching The Godfather. My kid's going to know. He's not going to be an idiot. He's going to know about when people are making references, and he's going to, anyway, music was the same thing. Steely Dan was a surprise. I did not think that I was going to introduce my son to the work of Steely Dan before, maybe college, maybe then, maybe now would be the time when I would have planned to start slipping in some Steely Dan. But man, I'm sorry, Guardians of the Galaxy beat me to it. My kid was like 7 years old who loved the Guardians of the Galaxy, and that soundtrack. He loved all the songs and he would listen to all the songs. And if I wanted, honestly, I used to trick him. If I wanted him to hear a song, there was a period of time where I'd just say, it's from the Guardians of the Galaxy. And he'd be like, okay. And he'd listen to it. But Dirty Work by Steely Dan was used in I don't know, the first one or the second one, but it was used a lot, and it was used to great effect, great dramatic effect. And my kid just loves that song. And then slowly, I could introduce him to more things, because as long as he knew that it was the band that had done that song, he was okay. Steely Dan, they're a great band. Are they the most underrated American band? See, because I don't know if you can be considered underrated when the most unimpeachable voices in that particular art form will just sing the praises of this person. I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter if the average person on the street is like, do you know how genius Steely Dan was? I guess that doesn't matter, because the people who it does, the other creator, the other artists, the other people, the other performers, they get it. They were genius. Steely Dan, when you talk about coaching trees, look at Steely Dan and all the people that had worked and come through that band and the shit that they've gone on to do. I mean, not just like, all the stuff that Michael McDonald did, but, the Doobie Brothers in general, just such a great couple of guys, Donald Fagen and Walter Becker, Steely Dan. Adam has no appreciation for good stuff. He only likes what people have never heard of. I don't think Adam has anything from the past that he really likes. I don't think Adam appreciates anything that came before him. I think to do so would somehow internally suggest to Adam that he is not fully rounded, and that would be a negative, and he refuses to think that way. So I do think that he doesn't like anything. And now he's going to, because there's a delay. Now he's going to start naming some things that he likes. I don't know, maybe he'll say Pink Floyd, even though he probably doesn't know shit about Pink Floyd. He's an indie guy, and indie guys do not like anything that is popular or before their time. Because for an indie guy to admit that there were cool shit being done by his grandparents, that kind of epiphany, that kind of awakening happens in your 50s. And Adam's got a few years. Adam says, I love Steely Dan. The hell are you talking about? I don't know. Did I just go off on a rant? Thank you for inspiring that rant, even if it turns out to have been complete bullshit. I don't know. I thought I was reading that you don't like Steely Dan, and then I was just going into you as being an indie guy. Now you're telling me you like Steely Dan? Okay, very cool. Look at Adam turning the tables on me. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Steely Dan, Walter Becker's going to heaven. How did he die? Just being old? Just being an old dude? Why do people think they're a gay band? Where did that come from? Or is that just me? Is that just something that I have always thought? But I knew it wasn't true. But what I mean when I say, do I incorrectly think that other people think Steely Dan is a gay band? So let me say that again. Do I incorrectly believe other people think Steely Dan is a gay band? Like Erasure? Because people do. Is it because of the name? Because of the name of the band? The name of the band, but that's not even necessarily gay. It's a woman's sex toy. A Steely Dan was a dildo that was being advertised in the back of some porn magazine, and they went, that's a good name for a band. Why do people think they're gay? All right. Anyway, Walter Becker. There you go. He's going to heaven. All right, let's get in now to quarter four. Quarter four is all the things that are happening in the world, the big headlines, the breaking news, all of that. I am sorry, guys. I am There's definitely something going on here with this weather change. What is the weather today? I'm going to get rid of the dead people. We'll go back to this. Yeah, there you go. Nope. Oh, man, now I feel like a real a-hole. All right, that's Kelly's. There's Kelly's. You can put hers up. Help us out. Help her out. There you go. We'll put this one up. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit like in a fog today. I'm distracted. I'm distracted that I think tonight is the last Hard Knocks. I think. I don't know. Has to be, right? The season starts next week. Oh, man. Did you guys watch any football over the weekend? That's all I did. I watched football. Actually, that's not all I did. I spent like the first 5 minutes of the show telling you that I fell down a Watchman hole. Right. But when I wasn't doing that, I was watching football. Notre Dame A&M. Oh, my God. You guys. Freaking Notre Dame A&M on Saturday night. I was just in my happy place. It just felt so cool. It was just football's back. It's not pro. And then I knew that there was this great abyss on Sunday where it's like, oh, there's no football. There's no pro football tomorrow. So there's a big hole. But then I got LSU USC on Sunday night. That was awesome too. And then last night, Florida State, Boston College. That was awesome. Anyway, I was very, very nervous on Saturday night because, as you all know, I am a Notre Dame devotee. I love my Notre Dame Fighting Irish, south side of Chicago, 100% Irish Catholic. It's kind of in the blood. I don't really have much of a choice, and they're incredibly disappointing. And last Saturday, they rolled down into A&M. Scary place. What the fuck? Why do I got to look at all of these other schools like Ohio State? Ohio State opened the season against the Akron Zips and beat them by like 70 points. Who the hell in college football these days? Not entirely, but the goal is to go undefeated, right? You want to be undefeated in the number one ranked team going into the playoffs. You want that bye. You want all of the accoutrements that come with being undefeated. And when you lose the first game of the season, no, your season isn't over like it may have been in past years. But it's like you don't want to have that. So I'm looking at Notre Dame having to go to Kyle Field and play A&M. What, A&M ranked 17th or something like that? Well, they won't be next week. Trust me, because Notre Dame got lucky. Notre Dame got lucky in the fact that A&M sucks. They are not going to be good this year. But whatever. We got out of there with a win. And let me tell you, as we sit here on September the 3rd, Notre Dame's going to run the table. Notre Dame is probably going to go undefeated this year. They are, this is like the toughest game of the year. I mean, unless you consider Stanford is not tough. That's a rivalry game. We got not, trust me. It should be an undefeated season for Notre Dame. And as a Notre Dame fan, I can tell you that I am fully prepared to go undefeated, be the number one or number two team in the postseason playoff, and then lose to an SEC team by 70. I am absolutely prepared for that as a Notre Dame fan. I've seen it far too many times in the past 15, 20 years. I got to be honest with you, seeing what Michigan did last year does kind of give me a little bit of hope, but that was a one-off. I don't think that's we're just gonna go back the next 10 years to just, Georgia and Alabama trading titles, I think. But that's what I did. I watched a whole bunch of college football. Let's see here. April says, I am so glad the Irish got that win, or my husband would be miserable to be around. So would I. Here's the thing. By the way, thank you, April. April let me know about, I already knew about it, but she sent me a note. Peacock has like a Notre Dame themed Hard Knocks series. Here Come the Irish, which I just, of course, devoured. So, there's a lot of hype around this team because Marcus Freeman, Notre Dame's head coach, the sexiest man in college football, I'll have you know. Oh, the ladies, they like Marcus Freeman. He's a good-looking man, and he's all fit and shit. Anyway, it's his third year, and there's tradition in Notre Dame that the coach in his third year wins a national championship. Parsegian did it, Van Devine did it, Holtz did it. So now this is Freeman's third year, and they've got a good team, and we've got a great transfer quarterback in Riley Leonard. And the transfer portal, we'll take it. And, we're going to go undefeated, and then we're going to lose to Georgia by 70 points on New Year's Day. So I am prepared. I just know that's what's going to happen. Also, here's the other thing that I've been obsessed with these last 2 nights. I don't know how this happened, but what is the best sandwich place? Let's have this conversation with the chat room before we get into the news, okay? Because I think I got a problem. I think I got a real problem. I mean, I think that one sandwich place is absolutely superior to all the rest, right? And then there's one that's the best, and then there's, I'll say them, your Subways or your Quiznos or your Firehouse. Or is Quiznos even still a thing? Quiznos used to be good with their prime reef sandwiches. Those were good, but that's not even a sandwich. I'm talking about a good sub sandwich. If you just want a good deli sub sandwich, stop fucking around with cheesesteaks, because Jersey Mike's makes a good cheesesteak, but not a great deli sub sandwich. The number one deli sub sandwich is the spicy East Coast Italian at Jimmy John's, and it has been for 20 years. And I unfortunately live in a neighborhood where the only fast food restaurant within walking distance is a Jimmy John's. So I've been eating a lot of Jimmy John's lately. The spicy East Coast Italian with pickles and mustard. I want you to put everything on it. But I have a question for you. Any of you sandwich connoisseurs? Jimmy John's. Here's why I think Jimmy John's is the absolute best. The fuck is going on with that bread? What is going on with that Jimmy John's bread? Why is that Jimmy John's bread so much better than all the other breads that are out there? Now, I know they claim because we bake it ourselves every day in our stores, unlike that frozen shit that they give you at Subway or whatever. Subway bread sucks. It smells funny. It's got a chemical smell to it. I don't like that. Anyway, I've become obsessed, and I've had 3 Jimmy John's sandwiches in the last week, and all I can tell you is that tonight I want a Jimmy John's. I want a Jimmy John's sandwich. I want a spicy East Coast Italian. I can't live like this. I'm living like a rich man. This is not that it's crazy expensive, but still. Kevin says sugar. But Byron says Jimmy John's is good for the low end. Well, they're all low end, dude. They're sub sandwiches. What is a high end sub sandwich? I don't know what a high end. But I mean, Jimmy. So, like, we're talking about Subway, Jimmy John's. I don't know if the Quiznos is still a thing. I know Firehouse is one. Another one. I don't like their bread either. I'm trying to think of what else is there as far as the sub sandwich game. It's saturated. Jimmy John's. Kevin says sugar. Is that it? Does Jimmy John's put sugar in their bread? Because their bread is really good. I don't know what it is. Christina, Jason's Deli. Yeah, I don't know that. Is Jason's Deli? Is that? Are we considering Jason's Deli? Don't we sit down at Jason's Deli? Isn't that more of we sit down and we enjoy the Borgerschmorg? That's Polish for all you can eat. Sports Bras out here in these streets champion for Firehouse. Firehouse is all right. Here's the problem with Firehouse. I've only been there twice, and both times I've gotten the corned beef, and both times I've been like, this isn't corned beef. I don't know what the fuck this is. It's slimy. There's something weird. I guess it's only fair if I compare the straight up like sub sandwich, the classic sub sandwich, which is going to come with some Italian meats. It's going to come with some lettuce, some tomato. Probably, if they're doing it right, they're going to put a little bit of that Italian dressing over the top. It's going to be nice. Gonna be nice. Byron says I will order subs at family-owned Italian places. All right, respect. That's they got a sub on a menu at like a pizza joint or something. That's legit. You could try that. But I'm just thinking of the everyday. This is all they're known for: sandwich spots. Do you know I've only had Subway twice? My kid is amazed by that. My kid's mother used to work at a Subway. And when we were dating, she lived almost exclusively on Subway sandwiches. And I used to be like, I'm not down with Subway. I can't walk into a Subway without starting to gag. I have a gag reflex that, like, if things smell a certain way, I cannot walk into a Subway restaurant without gagging. It's that smell. It's that yeast from the bread. And it's not from fresh baked bread. They are pumping that shit in artificially. That is a bullshit aerosol smell. I don't know if that's just something I believe or if that's something my ex-wife told me about when she worked at Subway. I don't know. It's a pick'em for you. All I know is that's what I think. All right. How do we segue now? Sports Bra says got to get the hook and ladder at the firehouse. Plus legit meatball sub too. Oh man. Okay. All right. I don't believe any of these places can make a legit meatball sub, but all right. I understand. With all due respect to my friend, I don't think you know what the fuck you're talking about. I just don't think you know what the fuck you're talking about, and I hope that doesn't hurt you. I would never in a million years come to you and try and tell you about barbecue or about a smoked brisket or anything, but don't come to me telling me that Firehouse does a good meatball sandwich. That shit's got to be garbage. There's no way that's a good meatball. There's just no way. First of all, I've never had a good meatball that wasn't made by a 100-year-old Italian woman. Meatballs are fucking lame if they're done incorrectly. They're all filler. They're all like breadcrumbs and fucking ugh. Now I want a meatball sandwich. All right, I'm going to find me a Firehouse. I'm going to have me a meatball sandwich tonight because now I want a meatball sandwich. I make fucking killer meatballs. Ask my son. I worked in Italian restaurants for a lot of years. I stole a couple of things. The most important thing that I stole was how to make super thin tavern-style crust. That's a secret, and I know how to do it. Most people don't know how to do it. There's a secret. Thank you, Palermo's. Stole that from Palermo's. Meatballs I stole from Giordano's. Giordano's had the best meatballs. And I learned their secret. And I won't give you all of their secrets, but one of them is don't think that you're doing me a favor by giving me 100% ground beef meatballs. That shit sucks. Good meatballs are primarily ground beef, but there is enough pork in there, ground pork in there, and maybe something else secret that I won't tell you. Anyway, I know. There's a lot of you out there, especially the ones who can cook. You're like, he's acting like he's giving away a secret that you got to make good Italian meatballs by mixing in pork. I know. But you'd be surprised with people who don't know that. You tell me that this meatball is 100% ground beef, I'm going to be like, well, that's going to be a disappointing meatball because that's just meatloaf. I didn't want meatloaf. I want an Italian meatball. Got to put pork in there. You also got to put beef. No, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you what the secret ingredient is. All right. Why am I putting off doing the show? Christina says meatball sub is about the only edible thing at Subway. I can't imagine. Again, I can't imagine they do a good meatball. You know, the best, honestly, you know where you get a really good meatball? If you want a fucking good meatball sandwich, like right now, Jimmy's food store. Also the only place that you can get like a really good Italian beef sandwich, but Jimmy's food store over there, I don't know, what is it on Knox or what is it, something else at that point? I don't know. Jimmy's food store, call ahead, get a meatball parm, okay, that they're going to put cheese on it and red sauce. You want a sweet and hot meatball parm. I mean, trust me, I'm a fat guy. I know about this. Hey, Jimmy's food store, give me a sweet and hot meatball parm with red sauce. Boom. And then get over there and pick that up. That is legit. You'll think you're in Brooklyn. I'm not kidding you. Jimmy's does everything so good. So don't tell me about your Subway meatball sandwich. Don't tell me about your Firehouse meatball sandwich. Tell me about the day in the news. Let's do that. 4:15. That's enough small talk. Today, a lot of stuff going on. How do I transition? All right, so let's talk about Israel. There's a big story over the weekend. It's still going on now. Israel, boy, oh boy, they're taking to the streets. Millions of people. They all are demanding. I don't know what they're demanding. I'm confused. I'm confused about, let's back it up, okay? Over the weekend, there is this tunnel that Hamas uses to re-weaponize. It's a secret tunnel, and it stretches for miles and miles, and they use it to bring in guns and bombs and all of that kind of stuff. Well, the Israeli Defense Forces, they discovered the tunnel, and they went in. They went in with an assault team, a strike team, if you will, and this was in the early hours of Saturday, which would have been Friday, our time. So they went in and they encountered some resistance, and Hamas cell. I don't even know what the terminology is, but anyway, they found hostages. They found a place where they were hiding some hostages, 6 of them. And upon being discovered, Hamas executed all 6 hostages. All of them are dead. These are 6 hostages who were fairly high profile. The American, the American dude was one of them. He was killed. So that's the war, right? Hey, we found the hostages, and what happened? They killed the hostages as soon as. I mean, I've seen that in movies before. So terrible, tragic, gross, sad. I mean, I've seen the parents of the American hostage on television now for months, for a year. They've been on all the news stations, and they seem like lovely people. And then to understand that even their hope is over with at that point. You know, the other thing about this, they cut his arm off. He was in the initial October 7th attack that Hamas perpetrated on Israel on October 7th of last year. In the original attack, the American, he had dual American and Israeli citizenship. His parents still live in America, but he moved over there to resettle. The American had his arm taken off in like a bomb explosion or something, so they patched him up, and he has been living as a hostage these past 10 months, 11 months now, with like one arm. And I got to imagine, I can't believe they're not giving him painkillers. Could you just imagine what this poor dude went through? Anyway, you don't have to. He was one of them that was killed. All 6 were killed. When news of this broke, the people in Israel did not like this news. And so for the past 48 hours, we have seen mass demonstrations all over Israel in the streets demanding, here is what I don't understand. You can help me with this. Here's what I would think. The discovery of this news, of the execution of these hostages, the horrors of it, as a citizen, I would think that they would take to the streets demanding blood, demanding, now we got to go in as hard as we can. Now it's war. I mean, it's been war for the past year, but right, I would think that would be the reaction to this. But it seems the reaction that the Israeli people have had is more of, we got to stop it. We got to stop it now. This happened to us. We don't want to get vengeance. We don't want revenge on this. We just want to stop it now. So I'm watching this. And by the way, if you think I'm confused, the people themselves are confused, because the people in the streets are both marching for those 2 very different things. Some large masses of crowd want to go harder. Others want Netanyahu to step down. It's a mess. I mean, my God, it's an absolutely horrible, horrible thing to have had happened, but it's war. These horrible things happen. So Netanyahu defiantly spoke to the nation last night. He said, I will not step down. And however the way he talks, I don't know. I can't even do his voice. I can't do any voices, but I certainly can't do Benji Netanyahu's. He says he's not going to step down. He says this is going to be difficult. These are going to be the most difficult days in Israel's history. He's doing that whole thing, but I don't know, man. I think he's going to be dragged out in handcuffs. I really do. They're like surrounding the government buildings there. I mean, this is not Syria. This is Israel. This is a very Western, aside from, the problems that they have with, bombs flying in every now and again. I mean, it's a very Western, very civilized society. What a mess. All right, there you go. So that's what's happening. All 6 hostages were killed. It's an absolutely terrible thing. The people are absolutely beside themselves, taking to the streets of Israel. Although, for what? The message, it's not a unified taking to the streets. It's people that want to wipe Hamas off the face of the earth, and then people, an equal amount of people, seemingly, who just want the war to end. It's very, very, very difficult. Because I don't know, all right, let's keep going. Russian missiles. Yeah, the Russians sent a couple of missiles into some big cities there in the Ukraine. This after weeks of Russian forces being driven back. The Ukrainians, they've breached the border. They've gone inland. They're at about, what they said, 120 kilometers. I don't know what that is. How many miles? Tell me miles. But whatever it is, they were having some real successes, and the Russians were being kind of quiet. Now, why were the Russians being quiet? It's because all of these areas that the Ukrainians just rolled through were being manned by conscripted, basically out-of-country forces. Chechnyan soldiers, Georgian soldiers, they were the ones who were basically fighting the Ukrainians as they came roaring across the battle. And because they don't live there, they're like, fuck this. They all ran. So there wasn't like this really strong Russian defense to the first major land incursions made by the Ukrainian army. And for a week, it was kind of quiet. It's like, what's Russia going to do? Well, they're doing stuff now. Russia today, they killed 47 people with a multiple. Hold on, I'll get you the details here. Here you go. Russian missiles blast Ukrainian military academy and adjoining hospital, killing more than 50. This, according to officials. Two ballistic missiles blasted a military academy and nearby hospital in the Ukraine, killing more than 50 people and wounding more than 200 others. Ukrainian officials said. It is one of the deadliest single Russian attacks since the war began. All right, there you have it. So they're ramping it up. That's such a weird war. Haven't been paying enough attention. I mean, it's going to be one of those things I'm going to have to watch a documentary on in 20 years. The Russian-Ukrainian war. And it'll be like an 8-part thing. And it'll be like, I never knew that stuff. I lived there and I didn't know. Here we go. Here's another story. This comes out of Turkey, and we're only showing it because we've got video. And oh my God, this video. I don't know what to make of this video. Is it two or multiple? Let me get you the full story here. This is over in Turkey. Some U.S. Marines have been attacked in the streets of Turkey by a band of youth. I don't know what they are. We got video. We'll show it to you. Hold on. Okay. All right. You know what? I don't even have to tell you because they're going to give you the story. Folks, I'm sorry. My throat hurts. So I'm going to let them tell you the story, okay? All right, here we go. This is video of what happened to a couple of U.S. Marines just this morning or last night, whenever this was. Well, let me just let you watch the story. Here we go.
Morning, Turkey says 15 people have been detained after 2 U.S. Marines were physically assaulted in broad daylight while on a break during a scheduled port visit. The violent scene, caught on camera, shows several men holding the Marines, who were not in uniform, by force and placing a bag over one of their heads. At one point, one man, unable to break free, shouting for help. According to local officials, a group of 15 people, including 13...
What? Ad? The hell are you doing popping an ad up in the middle of a story? We're trying to learn something, and there's no sound. There's no sound.
15 men and 2 women attacked the service members who have been dressed in civilian clothes. The mob, part of a nationalist, anti-American youth group.
Hold on, let me hear that again.
15 people have been detained after 2 U.S. Marines were physically assaulted in broad daylight while on a break during a scheduled port visit. The violent scene, caught on camera, shows several men holding the Marines, who were not in uniform, by force and placing a bag over one of their heads. At one point, one man, unable to break free, shouting for help. According to local officials, a group of 15 people, including 13 men and 2 women, attacked the service members who had been dressed in civilian clothes. The mob, part of a nationalist, anti-American youth group, were immediately apprehended. Officials say 5 other Marines were involved. The 2 Marines who were attacked are assigned to the 24th Expeditionary Unit on board the USS Wasp and were taken to a local hospital as a precaution, but sustained no injuries, according to a Navy spokesperson. The Turkish nationalist group, describing themselves online as soldiers of struggle for a fully independent Turkey, posting the assault on social media and writing, "US soldiers who carry the blood of our soldiers and thousands of Palestinians on their hands cannot dirty our country," adding, "Every time you step into these lands, we will welcome you as you deserve." The USS Wasp is part of a massive US Navy deployment in the Middle East, including 2 aircraft carriers that's aimed at deterring Iran amid rising tensions over the war in Gaza. And Craig, with all this US firepower concentrated in this region, it's notable that Iran has not launched a direct attack on Israel since April. That being said, the US Navy is stretched, and Craig, this incident just underscores the challenges involved. Craig.
Chief International.
All right, Craig. Back to you, Craig, man. Can't go out. You can't go out. I have a friend who I've talked about before. We'll just call him Pat. But Pat is one of these high-level operators. A number of years ago, you might remember during probably 20 years ago now, you might remember when those Baylor people were kidnapped over in the early days of the Iraqi war. Okay, so Pat was in one. I'm not going to say in charge. Pat rescued those hostages. That's what Pat does. Okay, he used to tell me these stories about how you don't go out anywhere. I mean, I understand what these guys are doing. They're Marines. I don't know what their jobs are, but they feel like they're comfortable enough just going into port, having some fun, meeting some girls, getting drunk, having a little fun. They deserve it. I remember my friend Pat saying, you can't do that. You can't go out. He was like, I don't go out. Like, here's how I know this, because he was married to a friend of mine. And I remember, like, the friend was always concerned about him being, somewhere around the world. He's a military guy, he's doing his thing. And, is he, partying and all this? Is he meeting other guys? The concerns of a wife and all that stuff. And I remember talking to him man-to-man about it. And he's like, dude, you don't understand. I can't go out. He goes, I can't go out. First of all, anybody's going to see me. They're going to look at me with my jarhead haircut. We can't go out. It's too dangerous for us. And I always sort of understood that to be just a specific to his job. Like, he was a spook. He's basically, I think he still is. I don't know what he does, but he's like your friend that's like, you're a spook, aren't you? You're just, why are you, who are these dudes? Who are your friends? Why are your friends so spooky looking? Anyway. So those guys went out. Those guys just, they had shore leave or whatever it is. And man, how fucking scary would that be? You're like you're not in Kansas anymore, man. And you got these like crazy dudes who are dressed like Uber drivers. Well, what is that? Those guys went out. See what that one dude was wearing, the ringleader? He was wearing like a button up with dress slacks. Don't you guys have t-shirts and shorts over there in fucking Turkey? What'd you just get off? You just drop somebody off? A fare? What do you... They all dress like that. A lot of button-up shirts for all occasions. Button-up shirts and slacks with dress shoes. That seems to be, you want to go to a ball game? Let me get my button-up shirt, slacks, and dress shoes. They dress like an 18-year-old American kid going to court. That's how they dress. I don't know. It's not a fun story. Here's also not a fun story. Ricky Pearsall, rookie, San Francisco 49ers wide receiver, was shot in Union Square in San Francisco. Union Square, shot right through the chest. Baller. He's out of the hospital already. Ricky Pearsall, he was walking to an appearance, as these young football players are sometimes known to do. They get involved with charities early on in their careers, or later on in their careers, but early in their careers, before they're well known, they might drive themselves, they might park themselves, they might feed the meter themselves, and then walk to wherever it is that they're going, because nobody knows who Ricky Pearsall is yet. He was confronted by a 17-year-old career criminal who pulled a gun, tried to take his Rolex watch. Don't know the details if there was a fight or anything like that, but the gun went off. Ricky Pearsall, rookie for the San Francisco 49ers, was shot through the chest. The video is incredible. I mean, the only video that we have there is of Ricky Pearsall going into the ambulance after being shot through the chest. And he's walking. He walked himself into the ambulance. So it wasn't serious. And thank God it wasn't serious. But here's the thing. I love San Francisco. I think San Francisco is like one of the most beautiful cities I've ever been in. Can we be honest? It is the most beautiful city that I've ever been in. San Francisco is freaking gorgeous. You don't want to jog in San Francisco. The last time I was in San Francisco was when I was doing my jogging thing. And I remember thinking, okay, I'm going to get up early and I'm going to jog a mile. You know what jogging a mile in downtown San Francisco actually is? I don't either because I quit. But it's really hard because it's nothing but hills. You're just jogging up hills. It sucks. It's the worst. Anyway. One of the things that I did notice, because we were staying near Union Square, one of the things that we did notice, or that I noticed right away, was holy fuck. And this is 5 years ago. Holy fuck. What the hell happened around here? San Francisco is bad. Like, people think Chicago is bad because of Fox News and, all that. It's the home of the Obamas. Of course, it's a hellscape. It's not. Chicago is pretty safe. You go to the Navy Pier, you go to Michigan Avenue, you go to all those things. It's pretty safe. Yes, are there instances of crime? Of course there are. But there's instances of isolated crime in every heavily populated district in the world. So stop being a dick about Chicago. My point is this: is there violence in Chicago? Yes, but it's the violence you hear about is happening, and this is not an excuse. It is just a specific explanation. The violence that you hear about isn't happening, in front of a Neiman Marcus store on the Magnificent Mile or at Navy Pier. That stuff is happening in gang-infested ghetto neighborhoods that don't have a lot of tourist traffic, don't have a lot of out-of-town traffic. Hell, we're talking about a specific neighborhood, Englewood, which is a couple of blocks from where I grew up, and I've never been there. Never been there. Just avoid it. We just don't go there. That's the bad neighborhood. Roll them up, Roll them up, lock the doors if you find yourself cutting through. So now back to San Francisco. This is why I was so shocked by San Francisco, because I wasn't in one of the low-income neighborhoods that, politics have forgotten about, government sweeps under the rug. I was in the Union Square district, same area where Ricky Pearsall got shot. And this is 5 years ago. And I'm like, holy fuck, San Francisco, get your shit together. These are the parts of the city that you need to keep clean and safe, because these are the parts of the city where tourists come. You can't have this shit going on at the Wharf. You can't have this shit going on at Mission Hill. You can't have this stuff going on even in the Haight-Ashbury. You got to fucking save that area too, because that's where people are going to want to go. This happened in Union Square. Terrible, terrible. It was such a trashed out homeless village. And I understand that, San Francisco, they're going to have their problems with this. Any place in California is going to have an accelerated issue with homelessness. Dallas has an accelerated homeless population. Houston, Austin, Texas is just absolutely drowning in a homeless population. Miami, the entire state of Florida is drowning in a homeless population. You know where it's not? Especially in the next couple of months, it's going to really thin out. New York, Chicago, Cleveland, Boston, Philadelphia, any place it gets cold. Any place it gets cold. So this whole idea about homeless populations taking over it has nothing to do with politics, even though a lot of people try and make it about politics. It has everything to do with weather. It has everything to do with, if you're sleeping on a sidewalk, where do you want to sleep on a sidewalk in November? Do you want to sleep in New York City, or do you want to go down to Miami, right? Now, is that Ron DeSantis' fault? No, it's God's fault, because it's just about weather. So that's why San Francisco has this insane homeless issue. Now, maybe you can compound that or combine that, however you feel comfortable, with some sketchy ass California local legislation. Fine, whatever. But San Francisco's nice. And if you got to be homeless, although it gets cold there, San Francisco, they should be leaving San Francisco. I just don't understand. I don't understand why they can't make those areas. What am I advocating for? Am I advocating for jackboot thugs to come through and sweep? No, well, maybe on day one. Maybe that's the first thing they do. But no, I'm talking about, a very heavy security and police presence in these. And maybe they already have them. And if somebody just wants to live here, they can live here. No, you can't. You can't live in Union Square. You can't live at the Wharf. You can't. You just. terrible situation. But it sounds like it's going to be okay because Ricky Pearsall has been released from the hospital. What was it, like a pea shooter? What kind of gun did he get shot with? Went right through his chest, and apparently he's going to be fine. There you have it. All right. The other big story from the weekend, I want to talk about this. We're going to go through this one. This is fun. Jeff Ballard hates this story because he doesn't like Jeff Ballard. That's a D, bro. Jeff Ballard wrote me a very, very hurtful message on Twitter about this. I want to talk about the Hells Angels situation because I have been obsessed with it all weekend. I love it. And I'm not obsessed with it because, like some of you, I fell for it. I'm obsessed with it because it's such a silly concept from jump with so many holes that someone thinking logically would go, well, why would they do that when, right? So here's the story. Over the weekend, actually, this was at the end of the week last week. So I think this story first started circulating around Thursday of last week. And it's the story of an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado, which is said to be overrun by a Venezuelan gang. Now, this is, of course, it's an election year, so it's all tied in with politics. And, Biden apparently invited all of these people from Venezuela and said, hey, bring your gang, and I've got an apartment complex for you. That's kind of how it's being spun. But really, all it is it seems to be some migrants, and some of them maybe from Venezuela. There does seem to be it's a migrant apartment complex, okay? These things exist. I'll give you an example. I grew up in a town called Orland Park. Orland Park is a very well-to-do suburb in the Chicago South suburbs. There is a street in Orland Park called LaGrange Road. LaGrange Road is filled with restaurants and bars and pizza shops, and it's a very, very big road. Right behind LaGrange Road, what was that street? I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter to you. But right behind it is a street with a whole bunch of apartments. And those apartments are almost in the well-to-do suburb of Orland Park. Those apartments are almost completely filled with migrants, with people who work at the restaurants. So look, it doesn't matter where you are in America, there's going to be an apartment complex that is going to cater to migrant workers, to immigrant class, to all of that stuff. So that seems to be what's happening in Aurora. Somebody got on Aurora, Colorado. So somebody got on Twitter and they got a story. They decided, what if this is the story we put out there? And it's a good story. It's this could be real kind of story. And the story says that a Venezuelan gang that got out of prison, they have come to Aurora, Colorado, sleepy, beautiful, snow-capped Aurora, Colorado. They've come there and they've taken over this town. Well, first it's the apartment complex, but it's Biden policies that are going to, so that's the whole thing. So it took off on right-wing crazy Twitter. And then then somebody took some pictures, or they took like a 10-year-old video of just some bikers. And I'll tell you how we know it's 10 years old, of some bikers. And they posted Hells Angels from Northern California heading to Aurora, Colorado to take on the Venezuelan gang. Ooh, I mean, this is Alex Jones all over, right? This is people who love that kind of shit. So it was fun. It was fun all weekend long. Because I'm like, how long does it take to ride your motorcycle from, I actually looked. I'm like, it says 18 hours. It's been like 48. We're going into 72 hours now. Did they get lost? It was such a stupid story. But here, I want to show you this. So I've got the breakdown of the story. I've got the entire how it began with the videos. You guys didn't really think this was happening, did you? Like, you didn't really think that, here they come. Yeah. I got a couple of questions for you. One, so between a Venezuelan street gang and the Hells Angels, you're just, without even considering, you're just going to go on the side of the Hells Angels? Why? Because they're American? You realize that they're all a bunch of drug-dealing convicts and criminals themselves, right? When did we get romantic about outlaw motorcycle gangs? When did they suddenly become... Well, they're Sons of Anarchy? Is this a Sons of Anarchy thing? Because I promise you that these dudes that you are rooting for are some really terrible people. That's not true. Not everybody who rides motorcycles. I'm not talking about people who ride motorcycles. I am talking about members of the Hells Angels, who so many of you over the weekend started acting like they were the fucking Avengers. that is your twisted view of America, then fuck you. Hell's Angels are criminals, okay? Anyway, what was the other thing? Oh, yeah, here's the other thing, which I thought was funny. There was a member of some gang that was on like did some clip. I saw it on YouTube or something. I don't know where I saw it. He was some motorcycle gang. He was talking about why this story is nonsense. And he's like, well, first of all, Hell's Angels in Northern California can't just go, hey, we're going to go into the Colorado territory and wreck ass. They can't do that. Because, see, there are already Hells Angels in Colorado. And if this was something that the Hells Angels were sanctioning, it would have been the Colorado ones who were there, boots on the ground, doing it first. But okay, whatever. And then people were like, actually, you know what? I don't want to go into that. I just want to tell you, we'll break it down for you. Okay, so I want to tell you the etymology of this story, and we'll watch some of the videos and we'll see some of the tweets. It's absolutely brilliant. Jeff Ballard was like, why are you promoting it? I'm promoting it because it's fucking brilliant. And I am a student of things that seem to penetrate virally. I love this story. It's a lie. It can be many things at once. It's a total lie. It's a scam, but it's also a great fucking post. It's a great post. People went nuts for it. And the people who posted it, they knew it. They were like, all right, how do we get like a whole bunch of, and they, just like the dude I told you at the start of the show who was standing under the viaduct with the sign, the one side of the sign, he's a homeless guy. He's looking for money. He's got one side of the sign. It says, don't homeschool your kids. And then he flips the sign over and it says, because public schools will turn them trans, right? That guy that's a bit. That guy is playing to a person that is going to resonate with. It didn't resonate with me. I shook and I was like, nope, sorry, pal. But there is somebody out there who's like, goddamn right, that's right here. Come here. Let me, like, he's playing that. He's thinking there's a lot of people who believe this. It's the same thing with the people who put together this initial tweet, right? Maybe it was wish trafficking. Like, I just wish this was true. And I'm going to put it up there. I don't know. Or maybe it was a bit more diabolical than that. Like, I'm looking at it diabolically. Just purely, I'm looking for a post that's going to take off and go viral. This was smart. Because it's one of those things that a lot of people who don't really think shit through want to be true. It's one of those things that, I just want this to be true. I want it so desperately for there to be a gang of Hells Angels from Northern California riding to the rescue there. And I want that to be true. And that's why it got forwarded. That's why it got shared. That's why it took off as a story. And somebody understood that. And somebody put that out first. And that person has my respect. Unless it turns out that they're just a fucking crazy person and they got lucky. I like to think that this is somebody who actually had a strategy. They're like, how do I? Here's the story, okay? It says, no, the Hells Angels didn't caravan to Aurora to fight migrant gangs. Conservatives are hysterically spreading the claim that armed Venezuelan gangs are taking over an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado. Not only that, the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club is now headed to the state to fight back. Again, forgetting completely that there is already multiple Hells Angels chapters in Colorado, but they need the guys from Northern California. E, you got a thought on this? E just poked his head around here. My Hells Angels rant? Have you been watching this story? Oh, by who? Hold on. E is telling me that he had lunch yesterday with somebody who explained to them how the Hells Angels of Northern California at brunch. So somebody believed this was true. Okay. All right. Here's what it says. Last week, a doorbell video showing a group of armed men was cited as proof that a South American migrant gang have taken over multiple housing properties in the city of Aurora, Colorado. Here, now, this was put out by Executive Media, folks. I'm going to show you this video. This is the video that started the whole thing. Come on around here. You can come behind me. Let me, hold on. So this is, and by the way, no reputable, although what is reputable these days, right? No reputable news outlet has done any coverage of this other than, all right, so here it is. This is the video. This was shared on Fox News. This is a video purportedly showing a Venezuelan street gang just kicking indoors and doing whatever they want. That is the context that you are given before you see this. So you're already thinking, okay, this is what's happening. That's not what's happening here at all, but let's just watch. Here we go. All right, so that is supposedly, and that might just be a shitty apartment. I don't know.
The Venezuelans is taking over.
Okay, here you go.
They just jacked them?
I mean, this just looks like street crime. I don't know what we're looking at here. There's no context to it.
Bro, damn, they done made a mess and shit.
Okay. So anyway, there's you go. That's the... Hold on. 31 of you are in the chat room. How many of you believe this was true? I want you to say, of the people not listening, but of the 31 who are currently in this chat room, I want to know how many of you believe that this was true. Let's continue on with the story, okay? So that's how it became a thing. Fox News played that video and presented it, an unreliable narrator. They presented it as, this is the Venezuelan gang that has taken over an apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado, okay? So that's what you're supposed to believe and trust. It wasn't true. The Aurora, Colorado police, they've been on all the other, platforms that are talking about it going, yeah, this, we got a migrant crime problem, but not unlike any other city. And that apartment complex, it hasn't been taken over. So we've pretty much got it from local authorities that this is not a thing. Now, how does the right answer that? The right has answered that with a whole bunch of things saying that the Venezuelan crime gang cartel has paid off the local police. So, see, because they want to believe that this is all happening, so they're willing to believe some of the most brain-dead bullshit that's being offered out. So if you believe that the chief of Aurora, Colorado, has been bought and paid for to turn his town over to a Venezuelan street gang, then you're a fool. There are hundreds of other people on TikTok, hundreds of people on Twitter, on Facebook, who have gone to the scene to film their own live videos, and every single one of them has debunked this idea that there is a Venezuelan street gang that has taken over Aurora, Colorado. But that didn't stop. That happened, and then what happened on Friday night? On Friday night, somebody got the idea to show this. Here's the video that started this off. Ready? Hold on. Let's see what this crazy person. All right, here you go. So this is a TikTok though. I don't want to show this as a TikTok, but that's okay. Let's see what this is. Ugh. All right, so this says, remember, it's time-stamped here. It says 9/1/2024. Okay, we can't get it to play anyway, so screw this. 9/1/2024, Hells Angels and Mongols. Oh, they're working together. Look, I think we're burying the lead here. That's a huge story that the Mongols and the Hells Angels are working together against the Venezuelans. Now, I've watched a lot of Sons of Anarchy. In fact, I've seen the entire season the entire show 2 times through. This doesn't seem like the kind of nonsense that they would be willing to risk their own things, right? For. It seems like a stupid thing. Like a bunch of guys who have warrants from... They're driving cross country so that they can get arrested again as soon as they show up and ride. It just doesn't make any sense. All right. So anyway, I guess we need to stop sharing that. All right. So, oh man, did I lose it? Let's go back to this story, okay? Countless other videos used to show the motorcycle club are unrelated. Oh, wait. The video that we were just shown on TikTok, which I couldn't play for some reason, the video shown, despite the caption, is not from September 1st of 2024. The clip is more than a decade old, filmed in 2013, according to a community note on X. Countless other videos used to show the motorcycle club are unrelated as well, including one of a motorcycle rally in Brazil. So it wasn't even in America. There you go. All right. On Monday, Aurora police responded to the viral rumor by stating that they do not believe the posts regarding the motorcycle club are in any way credible. given that the club was allegedly supposed to arrive this weekend and they never did. It's fair to say that there was never any truth to the claim. But what about the apartment takeover? While police do say that the apartment complexes shown have dealt with issues from the Venezuelan gang known as Tren de Aragua, the group has not taken control by any means. Interim Aurora Police Chief Heather Morris told Denver 7 that an investigation into the claim found it to be without merit. So there are gangs there. There are there's Venezuelan gangs all over. I mean, there's in Chicago where I grew up, there's like El Salvadorian gangs, and then you get to the areas of town where it's all Russian people, and you've got like these Chechnyan gangs and all that. So I mean, it's not like, well, there's a gang of Venezuelans in an apartment complex in Aurora. That's not rare. And maybe me thinking that it's not an emergency is also a problem. Maybe it should be seen as an emergency, but I don't know. I grew up in a gang-infested city. There's a lot of gangs. A lot of immigrants. They come and they form gangs as a way of, I don't know, survival, I suppose. It says, we've been talking to residents here and learning from them to find out what exactly is going on. And there's definitely a different picture being told to us. So that's the cops. The cops are saying, yeah, the people who live in these apartments, they're not saying that it's been taken over by a Venezuelan gang, but they are pissed off about how their cars keep getting broken into and shit like that. While many on TikTok spread this unfounded claim, others hit the ground to properly investigate. Numerous users in the Aurora, Colorado area drove to the area in question and likewise confirmed that there was in fact no takeover having taken place. What is this? Okay, these are all just like videos. They're trying to be funny. Okay, so I wanted to give you the background on that. So that's the background. That was a big, fun, silly, stupid, the Hells Angels are coming to defend us story. The Hells Angels are pieces of shit. The Hells Angels are a bunch of fucking drug-dealing, meth-addicted sex criminals. You think I'm fucking kidding? Just fuck. No, I know they've been romanticized, and some of you pea-brained dudes out there who think that they're just like cowboys. I got news for you. Most cowboys were not good either. But let's talk about the fucking Hells Angels. They're an outlaw motorcycle group. They're just guys who like motorcycles. No, they're not. They're a criminal gang. They're a terrorist organization. They're banned from operating in places. I mean, I don't know what you think the Hells Angels are riding to the rescue, but once you get the Hells Angels in town, you really think that's a better person to be running your town than it's all screwed up. So that's dumb. Hells Angel. And they're riding with Mongols. Yeah, okay. Why? Because one of them decided they wanted to get on Jesse Waters and they thought this would be a good way. What if me and 15 of my overweight diabetic friends get on our motorcycles? Hank can't go because he's got out-of-state warrants in Colorado, so he's going to sit this one out. It's fucked up. It's stupid. But it's something that we wanted to believe. It's something that people want to believe. And that is the world that we live in now. We have no faith in institutions. Institutions are things that we used to be able to look to as North Stars, as things to say, okay, if that institution says that, I'm going to go with that as being my North Star on this issue. Or True North, whatever you want to call it. We don't have that anymore. Nobody trusts anything. People trust a phony news account that they see on their Facebook page that plays to their personal wants and desires, and that becomes reality and that becomes news. And so now we see all weekend long people tracking the Hells Angels. It was the most fun story of the weekend. I absolutely loved it. It was silly from the beginning, and so many of you weirdos were seeing this as like a fucking Avenger moment. Shame on you. Byron says, no way Byron believed this. No, Byron says, I saw a clip of a family moving out of the complex, but the dad wasn't obvious. Those fucking apartment complexes are fucked up anyway. I mean, what do you think? They're just peaceful without the presence of a Venezuelan gang? There are probably a bunch of migrants, illegals from Venezuela who are probably in gangs, and they probably are hanging out. But I don't know that is necessarily what was presented to us. It's a bad fucking apartment complex. Do you want to start now being concerned about every bad apartment complex in America? This one is in fucking Aurora. It's probably not even the worst apartment complex in that area. I got to imagine something worse is happening in Denver. So, I mean, it's just silly. It's people, they manufactured a story to get people all stirred up, and the story was something that people wanted to believe, regardless of how many holes there were in it. When looked at objectively, there were just so many holes. The best one being, of course, that the Colorado Hells Angels would never allow this. This is not. You can't just roll into somebody else's area and take it over and wage a war, but, doesn't matter. Fun story, best story of the weekend. Although, was it the best story of the weekend? Because we got one coming up that I think might be even better. Here's something. Oh, no, this needs to be mentioned too, because we've been talking about it for the last couple of days. You know the Oasis story? How they're just selling out concerts. They only named like 6 shows, sold them out immediately. Well, the secondary ticket market, this is something we're hearing about now. So people bought tickets. They were like $200 a ticket. That's what the Oasis set the price at, like $200 a ticket. And the secondary market are selling them for like thousands of dollars. You know how this happens. We see this with Beyonce or Taylor Swift or whatever. Well, they're going through it right now in England. And here, dynamic pricing is the new term that is being used. We used to call it surge pricing. We're seeing it. Remember, I did a story a few months back about how fast food restaurants are now going to be using dynamic pricing or surge pricing. A Big Mac costs $2.50. What is it? 1998. A Big Mac costs $5, but during surge pricing, it's going to cost $7. Right? That's a new thing that American capitalism has given the world in the last couple of years. When you really need it, we're going to fuck you hardest, right? Oh my goodness. So dynamic pricing is being used now in tickets, and I'm going to read you the story. Oasis ticket. What is dynamic pricing and how does it work? Thousands of Oasis fans waited long hours in virtual queues this weekend to get their hands on tickets for the British band's reunion show. Many fans who waited for more than 3 hours thinking they would pay the initial advertised price of £148 ended up paying double that. So what is dynamic pricing? Dynamic pricing, also known as surge pricing, is a strategy in which businesses push up prices at times of high demand. This is commonly seen in airline ticket prices and hotel room rates, as well as Uber surge pricing during peak traffic hours. Ticketmaster has said that for concert tickets, artists or promoters are responsible for determining the number of tickets and to set the price of the face value. They can opt for dynamic pricing if they want, and it is implemented once Ticketmaster gets their approval. All right, so Oasis management signed off on the dynamic pricing. Now, before you think they're awful, so has every other band ever since they introduced it. So let's stop pretending like... Taylor Swift had a problem with it. Bruce Springsteen has had a problem with it. But so far, those are the only two that have said that they don't want to go with the dynamic pricing. So here's what's happening with the dynamic pricing. Well, I'll tell you. Is dynamic pricing legal? While dynamic pricing might seem unfair to customers, it is considered legal as long as the company follows laws and regulations related to pricing transparency. It's just how much are you willing to pay for this? Which I'm kind of okay with, especially for things like concert tickets. You don't need to go to a concert ticket. If a band or an artist has figured out a way to sell their art, which is what you're doing, you're buying their art when you pay for a concert ticket to go watch them perform it live. They figured out a way to make more money for their art. Hell, I'm all for it. I don't like dynamic pricing in other things. I don't like dynamic pricing in fast food. I don't like dynamic pricing with electric bills. I don't like dynamic pricing with, well, I guess we have put up with it with plane travel. That's some bullshit. It should cost what it costs. You save for months to try and get a plane ticket, and then you buy it during dynamic pricing. Here's the other thing that Oasis is doing about their tickets. The secondary market has taken off on these Oasis tickets where they're being sold for like thousands and thousands of dollars. And I don't think this is true. And I love these guys, and they're hysterically funny, these two brothers. I don't think this is true. They are telling everyone that they've figured out a way. First of all, they didn't figure out nothing, these two knuckleheads. There is a way for them to know if you've bought these tickets on the secondary market, and your ticket will not be accepted at the gate for any of these shows. Now, I don't know if that's true. I don't know how that works. I don't think it can be true, but whatever. But that's what they're saying. They don't want people buying off this. What do you care? At this point, what do you care? You did the dynamic pricing. So with the legal tickets on Ticketmaster, or the first purchase tickets, the first time you're given an opportunity to purchase them comes from Ticketmaster. And then you buy the tickets on surge pricing. And then you're like, oh, turns out I can't go to this show. So then you go to one of these second ticket vendors, I'm trying to think of what is a good one. SeatGeek, that kind of thing. You put it on there and you sell it for more. They're having a problem with it. I don't go to concerts. I'm too old for concerts anymore, at least big ones. I just assume they're all super expensive. I just assume that if I want to go to like a really big concert and I want to take somebody, that's in 2024, that's going to cost $1,000. Well, all in and out, everything's going to cost $1,000 because you're going to need to get t-shirts. T-shirts are what, like $750 each, right? How much for that t-shirt? $750. All right. What else do we have here? Guys, my throat is gone. So sorry. I need to get some tea or something. What else do we have here? Boy. Yeah, we don't need to see that. Some dude at the Texas A&M game, he kicked a field goal, got $50K. That was pretty cool. Good for him. After missing it, he kicked the field goal. It was like a kick a field goal. If you make it, you get $50K. And he kicked it from 45 yards, and he missed it. And then everybody was making fun of him, and he was running his mouth. He's like, I could do it. And so they said, okay, we can get one more chance. We'll move it back to 50 yards. And then he booted it through, and he made it. Except he got 2 shots at it. Supposed to only get 1 shot at it. There was no deal for him kicking a 50-yard field goal. There was a deal for him to make a 45-yard field goal, and he got his chance to kick the 45-yard field goal, and he didn't make it. At that point, if I'm a lawyer, I'm thinking about the people who sponsored this event. It was College Game Day, so it was on TV on ESPN. But I'm thinking about the person who sponsored this event. They can be like, we didn't say 50 yards. We said 45. That's what we were going to pay. Anyway, that was kind of cool. Thought that was kind of cool. All right, guys, that's going to do it. That's about it. We're going to wrap the show up for today. I appreciate you hanging out with me. We're going to be back tomorrow. I'm going to have a lot of tea. I'm going to have some tea and some hot water and stuff like that. My throat will be fine by tomorrow. Again, I am not sick. This is just a weird throat little thing that I got going on here. So I appreciate you bearing with me. I'm sorry if I was a little bit scattered. But before I leave, I do want to show you something that I discovered yesterday. I try to hip you to the things that I'm watching. I love to watch things at night. I love to watch a little something between 9 and 11 o'clock before I go to bed. And I've been desperate. I've been desperate the last few months because there is nothing good new. I'm like, when are we going to get some new good stuff to watch? So I've been just watching old episodes of series that I've already seen. Guys, that came to an end last night. Or was it Saturday night? I think it was late Saturday night. I discovered a new series that is excellent. I'd never heard of this before. This thing snuck up on me and was like, here we are. And I'm like, okay, I'll check it out. It's called Chaos on Netflix. Have you guys seen this? Apparently it just debuted this weekend. It's Jeff Goldblum. I didn't think I needed Jeff Goldblum as the lead in a new TV series, but here we are, and he's awesome. Let me tell you a little something more about this. Jeff Goldblum plays Zeus. That's right, Zeus. Zeus, the king of the gods. Jeff Goldblum plays Zeus. Here's the story of Chaos. I describe it as Clash of the Titans meets Succession set in the modern day with Jeff Goldblum as Zeus. There you go. Here's the premise. Let's pretend Jesus never came around. Let's pretend there's no such thing as Christianity, Judaism. Let's just pretend that the entire world rolled with the whole Greek gods thing from the ancient times all the way through modern times. And let's also assume that the Greek gods have made themselves known. Unlike Judeo-Christian God, who it's all about faith, these Greek gods are actually, on the streets and intervening in our lives and all that kind of stuff. That's the premise here. It is the year 2024. Jeff Goldblum is Zeus. He is living on Mount Olympus, and he's not living in a cave or in some golden palace. No, he lives in like a really kick-ass Malibu-style mansion on top of, he's Zeus. He's got all the cool shit. His brother Poseidon lives on this like super yacht in the middle of the ocean. Poseidon lives like a pimp out there. Anyway, it's a very interesting modern story, modern take on the great Greek myths. Now, I don't know if you need to be a fan of Greek mythology. I am. I was a little Greek mythology nerd. Hey, I'm Gen X, man. We came up in the Clash of the Titans days, so I was really big into that stuff. But if you love the stories of Greek mythology, Orpheus and Hades and all of the, this is a really interesting series that takes place in the modern times, and it follows the Clash of the Titans. It follows all of the Titans deciding that they're going to challenge Zeus, and it takes place in the modern day, and it's brother against brother and child against father and all of that crazy stuff. I might, a little pro tip for you, I would have your Wikipedia page open for the show. Before I watch it, I would go and I would find Chaos on Wikipedia, go down to the cast, and then as you start seeing the characters being introduced, all the characters have their own Wikipedia page because all the characters are actual fucking Greek gods. But learn about what they're the gods of, and then watch their characters. It's really well done. Really well done. Prometheus has always been my favorite of the Greek gods, and anybody who's into Greek mythology, why would you ever want anyone other than Prometheus? Prometheus, of course, gave us fire. He is the god of fire. And more than that, Prometheus is the guy who advocated for humanity. When Zeus wanted to wipe us all out, it was Prometheus who was like, nah, man, these people are cool. Look, I taught them about fire, and now they're burning shit down. They're hysterical. The character who plays Prometheus is incredible in this. He's the narrator of the story, and he's played by Stannis Baratheon from Game of Thrones. Jeff Goldblum. It's called Chaos. I think you'll really enjoy it. It's smart. It's funny. It's cool. It's big budget. It's everything that you want from a series. So we'll watch the trailer. This is what it looks like. This is Chaos, new on Netflix this weekend. I'm only 3 episodes in, but I'm like down. This is good. All right, here we go. Come on, Chaos.
Mortals, I made you. And this is how you repay me.
Really, we're meant to be together.
Today you will.
Well, what?
Leave him.
We need to make destruction really sing.
Dad, some humans are nice.
They don't matter.
I defy the gods.
You're where you belong, down in the dark!
What is this place? Why didn't I turn to stone?
Because you're fucking dead. Serve the gods, great honor, right?
And it'd do you all good to remember that.
Why'd you do that? Why'd you shoot me?
Who are you?
What if I told you you could see your wife again?
They don't give a shit about any of us.
Tell the truth, Orpheus.
Everything they know, everything they love.
Lies. I am one person. What can I do?
All the best things are human.
A line appears, the order wanes, the family falls, and chaos reigns.
They put poop all over our statue. Why would you think that that's funny?
All right. Whoa, 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 whoa. Oh, hold on. There we go. Why was that mic up so loud? What happened there? Anyway, it's really good. I enjoyed the first 2 episodes, I think, last night. Or I watched one on Saturday. Sorry about that. Don't know what that's about. Chaos on Netflix. It's good. I think you'll like it. Oh, guys, I'm sorry. It's hurting me today, but we will be back tomorrow. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me today. I'm gonna shut up now. I'm not gonna talk so much. I'm gonna baby my throat, and we'll be able to do a full show with all the energy that you've come to expect. It's very low energy today. Very low energy. Tip the show if you can. Thank you so much to those who have. I don't know that anybody did today, but we are in Pledge Week, trying to raise the money for next month. The number is $200, which is nothing compared to what we've done. So I'm very optimistic. So thank you, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. I am Pugs Moran. This has been the Rant, I guess. I don't know.